You're typing a message and listening to what the person next to you is saying. It feels like you're doing both at once, like your brain split in two and one part writes while the other listens. You do it every day. You talk and drive. You read and listen to music with lyrics. You answer an email in the middle of a meeting. The accepted idea is that some people can and some can't, that it's a matter of practice or of how hard you focus. That's not it. Nobody can do it. And the reason is stranger than you think. So what is it you're actually doing when you do two things at once? There's a simple proof it isn't happening at once. Nobody can speak out loud and at the same time count to 10 in their head. One of the two stops. When you count, you go silent. When you speak, you lose the count. You don't slow down. You switch. Back and forth so fast you don't feel it. And this is the first thing your brain doesn't show you. You don't have two channels of attention. You have one, and you move it from place to place. This isn't an opinion. It's been measured. Around the turn of the century, three psychologists, Joshua Rubinstein, Jeffrey Evans, and David Meyer, sat people down to a simple task. They had to switch between two kinds of puzzle. Once counting, once recognizing shapes. That's all. Every time a person switched, they lost time. From a fifth of a second to a few seconds, depending on how hard the task was. A fifth of a second sounds like nothing. But count how many times a day you jump from thing to thing, phone, conversation, screen, phone again, hundreds of times. Those fractions of a second add up to hours. And here's the second thing that should worry you. Because if it were only lost time on the jump, you could live with that. But something worse happens. When you switch from one thing to another, part of you stays behind on the first. Sophie Leroy, a university researcher who studies how people work, described this in 2009. She gave people a task, interrupted it halfway, and had them start the next one. And she measured how they did on that second one. They did worse, clearly worse. Because in their heads, that first unfinished task was still running. It was taking up room they needed for the new one. She called it attention residue, a piece of you left where you no longer are. And the worst part is that the residue is largest when you interrupt something halfway, when you didn't finish, when you left it open and jumped ahead, which is exactly what you do all day. You start an email, a message comes in, you jump, the phone comes back, you jump again. Each of those things stays open inside you, and each one takes a piece of the next one's attention, which leaves the question of why we do this at all, if it turns out so badly. Because your brain lies to you about one specific thing. It doesn't show you the cost. When you jump from task to task, you don't feel those lost fractions of a second. You don't feel the residue left behind. You feel something completely different. You feel busy, that a lot is happening, that you're handling many things at once. That feeling is pleasant, and it's false. Every switch gives a tiny hit of feeling that you got something done. Checked the phone, replied, glanced at the screen. 3 things ticked off. Your brain rewards you for the motion, not the result. That's why multitasking is so addictive, even though it doesn't work. You don't do more. You feel like you do more. And those aren't the same. And here, the whole thing has to be turned around. Because you think doing 2 things at once is a skill, that the better you get at it, the more you handle. It's the reverse. It isn't a skill, it's a cost you don't see. Every time you do 2 things at once, you do them one after another, both worse than you do either alone. And on top of that, you pay the time lost on every switch between them. The people who consider themselves best at multitasking do worst in studies. Not because they're worse, because they do it most, so they've practiced it most, and feel least how much they lose. The less you feel the cost, the more of it you pay. This isn't fully settled. Scientists still argue about exactly how much performance drops and whether it can be trained on narrow, simple tasks. The direction is certain. 2 hard things can't be done at once, only interleaved, and that costs. So the next time you catch yourself typing and listening at the same time and think you're doing fine, check one thing. Ask yourself what the other person said 10 seconds ago. Not the last sentence, the one from 10 seconds back. Most of the time you won't know, because you weren't there. You were on the message, then you came back, and those 10 seconds vanished, even though you were looking the person in the eye. This isn't the first time it turns out you're not where you think you are. Your brain makes decisions before you find out about them, but that's a separate story. You never did 2 things at once. You did one, then the other, both halfway, and every time you left a piece of yourself in the place you just walked away from. And at the end of the day, You wonder why you are exhausted though you didn't finish a single thing.